Hey guys, my name is Maros and I'm a men's coach. And in this video today, I'm going to help you understand what are the ways how we process emotions automatically without knowing about it, and how these are damaging our systems, our bodies, our mental health. At the same time, I'm going to show you what are the more efficient ways of dealing with emotions. And especially in the end, I'm going to talk a little bit about the mechanism of letting go and releasing, which is really going to help you to process your emotions in a healthy way. And it's going to affect your confidence, your mental health, your results in business, your personal life, everywhere, because these emotions are simply present in our entire lives. So I'm going to go right to the point. And the thing is, there are 5 mechanisms of how we deal with emotions on autopilot. So the first one, but before I go to the first one, what makes difference in people's lives in terms of dealing with emotions and emotional intelligence in general is how much they are using the unconscious and the defensive and the survival mechanisms in order to get through life, and how much are they actually using the proactive mechanisms, the ones that are dealing with the emotions effectively. So that the ones that help you not get controlled by the emotions, by the anger, by the apathy, by fear, whatever. Okay, so eventually my goal for you is to move from those fear-driven, survival-driven ways of how to deal with emotions towards the ones that are more proactive and that are more courage-driven, that are more helpful to actually create you the way, to help you create the life that you actually want to experience. So the first one is suppression, emotional suppression. And it works like this. The moment you feel something you don't want to experience from whatever reason, for instance, if you're feeling sad and you think that feeling sad and showing sadness is actually feeling weak, when the sadness will start coming up, you will make a decision, I'm not going to feel this. So you kind of stuff it down and it disappears from your conscious awareness. What you do when this happens is that you literally push the feeling from your conscious awareness where it's coming up back in the unconscious, and it's there. So, for instance, this is what happens very often when some people are going into negotiations about their salaries, for instance, or discussions with their boss or with their colleagues, and they are feeling this anger, but they believe that they should not even feel the anger, they should not express the anger, this should not happen simply. And because of that, they stuff the anger down, they put on this nice little smile, fake smile, so that they kind of go through it. And the moment they close the door, they're like, I would kill that bitch, right? Like this is the mechanism of suppression. What it helps you is that if you believe that the emotion that you are experiencing and you will feel is going to put you in a massive danger, it's safer to repress the emotion, to suppress the emotion and wait until you're safe again, and there you can allow yourself to feel the emotion, and there you can somehow process it or vent it or whatever you will do with it later. But in the moment where you feel it, suppression is actually just stuffing it down so that you don't see it. You can do this with sadness. People do this with fear. I was doing this fear for a long time. I feel that I have no problems with fear. Like I'm a fearless guy. I've discovered that all my chasing of extreme sports and these extreme adventures I was doing with, it's just mostly extreme sports and ideas I was having around that was actually running away from fear. I wanted to prove myself that I'm okay with fear. I don't feel fear. So anytime the fear would come up, I would actually go right in it, and I would make myself believe that I don't even feel it. And this, my friends, is the second way what we do with emotions, and that's repression. Repression happens when you suppress emotion so hard and you're so convinced that you don't even feel it, that the suppression happens on autopilot without you knowing about it. So, for instance, if I go to public speaking, I'm supposed to give a speech, and if I'm feeling afraid, and I'm like, I can't be afraid, I don't have to be afraid, and I rationalize it for myself and I'm suppressing it down, that's suppression. What I was doing with extreme sports, that was repression, because I was like, I don't even feel fear. This thing is natural for me, right? I wasn't even in contact with the emotion. For instance, nice guys very often do one thing, and people with imposter syndrome as well. is that they are experiencing shame when they are the center of attention, when the spotlight is on them simply, and they put on the fake smile, right? Like the smile that, yeah, everything is okay. I don't feel discomfort at all. Obviously, I don't feel discomfort because I'm smiling. Why would I feel discomfort when I'm smiling? But everyone sees that the smile is fake, right? They know that the smile is fake somehow because it's somehow weird. But for them, the autopilot says that it's so extremely important to not show that they're feeling afraid or ashamed or guilty. They just keep the smile on, and they'll just go through the experience, go through the social, wherever they are. This can happen on a date when they're approaching a girl. They approach her, "Hi, what's your name?" And it's just creepy as hell because like they know it's uncomfortable. She knows it's uncomfortable. They're pretending as if it wasn't happening. She must pretend that she doesn't see anything because she knows that you pretend for yourself that you don't that everything is okay, and there's no discomfort that you're feeling. So she's gonna feel like, yeah, I'm okay. Let me just mind my business because I didn't want to speak with this creepy guy. Right? So when you're repressing it, and you're repressing the emotions, it feels like it's not even happening. You just have this feeling of discomfort. Usually when this happens, it's because when there's a super strong desire for something that's beyond the emotion. So for instance, in this case, guys have a super strong desire to get validation from the group that they're doing okay. And because they want validation, they are afraid of getting invalidation from the group. And this wanting validation, they want it so badly that they just completely ignore everything that they feel, and they are pretending as if it wasn't there, right? So this is the mechanism of repression. When you stuff the emotion down, you suppress it so hard that it appears as if you're not even in contact with this. One more thing: some people have a lot of repressed anger. If they have experiences from childhood or from the past where their desires, their wants, or their personality was heavily repressed, and there was nothing they could have done about that. They just have to accept the situation, and their anger was unacceptable. They still keep storing that anger inside. And this anger can show up in situations where it's really unfavorable and when it's really simply not practical to show that anger, right? Like a family gathering, someone tells them something, and because it's just like there's just so much of that anger, it's just bubbling there all the time, then there's this anger outbursts, and they're surprised, the other people are surprised, everyone is surprised. Whoa, where did this come from? Nice guy do this a lot, like because nice guys have a lot of repressed anger because they have to be nice, right? Nice guys believe that they must be nice, they don't have a choice. If you believe that you must be nice in the world in order to survive, then you're gonna be damn angry at the world that they're forcing you to do that. Because like, why would you have to be nice all the time? Like, you are supposed to be the way you are. Like, you have all these emotions for a reason. And if the world makes you believe that you must be nice all the time, then you're gonna be pissed at the world. And this is the rage that nice guys are storing inside. And they don't have a contact with it because they're obviously repressing it. So this is the repression. The third way of dealing with emotions is escape. And you might be familiar with escape through watching movies where reading psychology books, because this one is quite more common, quite more famous, I could say. And it's if you feel an emotion that's uncomfortable, you don't want to feel that, you are unable to suppress it with your mind to say, no, I'm not feeling that. It just doesn't work because it's like you don't have enough willpower to do that. What you'll do is you just go to the fridge and get a shot of hard alcohol. This hard alcohol is going to change your body physiology. Because of this, you'll be able to shift where your mind is. Because of this, you can actually stop the emotion. Other people are doing this through porn and masturbation. Porn and masturbation is such a powerful neural impulse for your body and for your nervous system that it's going to completely change your physiology, and of course, it's going to completely change your mental, your mind. And because of that, you're going to feel different. So there's going to be a relief temporarily, but in the long term, what you're doing with this, you are actually conditioning the two. So many guys who are masturbating from a very early age and who are watching porn from a very early age, and they started to use porn in order to escape emotion, whether it's loneliness or shame or guilt, or somebody maybe even anger. When they keep doing this, it's like the loop goes both ways. So if you feel shame, you masturbate, and they like, another way to say this, neurons that wire together fire together. You might have heard this from Tony Robbins. He says this quite often. So if neurons that are responsible for shame start firing, at the same time you start watching porn and masturbating, and these neurons started to firing, they start getting linked. Because of this, later in life, if you have a lot of like wiring, a lot of conditioned responses between shame and sex and shame and masturbation, for instance, then when you find yourself in an intimate situation, in a intimate connection with a girl, then you might, like, all these feelings might start to come up. Why? Because they were connected. So it's the same with cigarettes. It's the same with tobacco products. It can also be with physical exercise. I have a friend who broke up with whom his girlfriend broke up. He was heartbroken. He wouldn't allow himself to feel that, so he wanted to run away from the emotion. And actually, he literally ran away from the emotion for 30 days, every day, 7 kilometers. Guess what happens? He completely blew up his hip joint. And then he had to go through several surgeries, and it took him years to put himself back together. And the reason why is because he wanted to run away from this emotion, and he just didn't. You can also see these people who are working their asses off, and they're workaholics, and it's like the work completely takes over them. There's a high chance, basically bordering with certainty, that they are running away from something that feels uncomfortable, because if they stopped working, they would have to face those emotions. And because they don't know how to face those emotions, they are running away from that. And all these are escapes. Nice guy fake smile is, by the way, also, you can also, like that's the nice guy fake smile is also an escape. Under the fake smile, there's hiding all these repressed emotions. So for instance, in the workshops, when we work with guys and we are bringing them to feeling their feelings, and immediately the fake smile starts coming up because it's uncomfortable for them. They feel this tension, this emotional tension, and we let them stop the fake smile. What happens is that these emotions start coming up and it gets uncomfortable, and maybe their mouth are shaking a little bit. But that's the first step towards actually processing the emotion. So that's the escape mechanism. The next one, the fourth one, is the mechanism of expression. Expressing the emotion means that when you feel the energy of emotion in your body, you feel the anger coming up here, it's like, and it's bubbling in you, and you feel like if you yell now, or if you slam with your fist in the wall, or whatever you do, if you express the anger, the energy, the tension is going to decrease. The tension in your body is going to decrease. Why? Because you expressed some of the energy that was held in the tension in your body through some kind of action. In the case of anger, this can be done through yelling. This can be done through slamming in the wall, whatever. Simply like doing any kind of action is with anger. When it comes to sadness, for instance, with sadness, it's obviously tears. If you feel really, really sad and you go deeply in the sadness and you start expressing the sadness, people start crying. Now, the funny thing is with crying, for instance, and sadness, it's not crying and sadness that's painful. And this is something that I want to tell to every single person, especially men out there, because we are very good at rejecting sadness and avoiding sadness. It's not sadness that's painful. It's the aversion to sadness that's painful. It's the resistance to sadness that's painful. It doesn't, like, the uncomfortable part about sadness is not the crying. It's the resistance to crying. Like, I'm not going to cry. It's not that bad. No, I'm not going to. No, I'm going to look weird if I cry in front of them. This is the pain. The moment you start crying and the moment you genuinely start feeling the sadness, it actually feels better. And no matter how deep the sadness and grief is, eventually it's going to go away. And eventually you're going to feel lighter. The same way as when you slam the door when you feel anger. Simply the energy that was in the body that was held with the emotion simply leaves and you feel lighter. And what happens, for instance, if you feel anger and you go to the forest and you take a branch and you just slam the branch in the tree or whatever, then when you come back you feel relieved. And this feeling of relief is also an emotion. and it's an emotion of acceptance. With sadness, if you start crying and you cry, and then you had enough, you feel this feeling of relief as well, and it's feeling of peace, of acceptance as well, and it just feels nice. And it's the same thing with all the emotions. The problem is that it's difficult to, like, how do you express fear? How do you express guilt or shame? So it's more difficult and more challenging with these emotions. And that's why, like, that's one of the reasons why we are suppressing them and repressing them and running away from them, because we don't know what to do with them, right? And here is the point when the fifth way of dealing with emotions comes, and that's releasing or letting go. And this one is the most paradoxical and maybe the most difficult to explain, because it cannot be really understood intellectually. You have to experience it. And I guarantee you that you have experienced it. So I'm going to give you a couple of examples how you can imagine that. So when you think about your emotions, when you try to analyze it, you're not feeling the emotion. When you're trying to get rid of the emotion because it's uncomfortable, you're not feeling the emotion. That you're trying to push it away somehow. Releasing and letting go is really about allowing the emotion to come up, feeling it, welcoming it, and allowing it to leave. All the emotions actually want to leave. They are coming up in your system, in your body, because they have some message for you, and they want to be acknowledged, and they want to leave. If you just allow them to be there, and if you just let them do what they want to do, they will leave on their own. You don't have to do anything. So releasing is actually a side effect of allowing. Another way to look at this can be this. If you have imagine it like you have a sink, and in the sink is water. If you want the water to leave, what you need to do is you need to take the plug out and just wait until the water drains out. This is releasing. You feel shame, for instance, because you screwed something up. So in order to release and to let go of the emotion, all you need to do is just to relax and just feel the emotion. How you can facilitate this, like if you don't have experience with this, you might be asking, how do I do that? How do I do that? How do I do that? So well, the real meaning of these questions, how do I do that, is how do I let my conscious mind work in a way that's not intervening with the process? Because the moment you start thinking, you are using your conscious mind to analyze the feeling, to break it down, and with this, you're not releasing. The best way how you can use the analytical mind to facilitate releasing is by asking yourself a question. Can I allow myself to feel this? Yes. Can I allow myself to feel this a little bit more? Yes. Can I allow myself to feel this a little bit more? Yes. Now, the reason why kids do this. If you notice, kids do this automatically. That's why they can play football and get to the fight, which seems like the end of the world, and then play football again in 5 minutes, because they just let it go. They just let it go, and they do whatever they were doing before. With adults, it's a little bit more difficult, because we want to analyze things. We want to understand things, like from the moment when we developed mind and ego, we want to hold on to things so that we're safe. This is paradoxically the most difficult part about releasing in the beginning. The moment you have several experiences that you can actually, the moment you allow yourself to feel the shame, it leaves, and you feel the fear, it leaves. It's going to be more and more easy. I can share my experience with public speaking, for instance. I had a massive fear of public speaking for really long time, years. I did loads of Toastmaster speeches, loads of moderating conferences, which I started to volunteer because I wanted to get rid of the fear. So I was exposing myself to it, and it just wouldn't go. And I was even teaching public speaking for a year, and I was also teaching ways how to deal with the fear and the speech and the performance anxiety before the speech and so on. And I've tried all of the things, from breathing to visualization of what it's going to look like in the future, everything. The thing that helped me the most is actually when I'm ready, I know I'm going to speak, I just relax and I feel the fear. And instead of trying to do something with the fear, I do the last thing that seems logically plausible, and let's go with my focus, with my attention and awareness straight against the fear, right into the fear. Now, I accidentally just discovered this when I was playing with this before one speech. And this was the best thing ever, because when I felt the fear and I just kept going against it and against it and against it, eventually it left. And all that remained was joy and feeling of the love for the people I'm going to speak for, feeling of caring about them, and genuine wanting to do my best so that people have the most value. And it was just wonderful. And it's the same with shame. It's the same with guilt. It's the same with anger. It's the same with fear. It's the same with desire. And it's the same with apathy. So another way to look at this, to make sure that you understand, for instance, people who want to approach women, guys who want to approach women because they want to meet a girl of their dreams, they want to have a relationship, they are being super afraid of approaching women in public, and just like approaching a girl, saying hi, asking basic questions, introducing themselves, getting to know her, and asking for a number. Some of them are feeling such a powerful anxiety that they would not even the idea of approaching them feels extremely scary. So if you're one of these guys, if you're standing and you see the girl, you can already feel the fear. You can already feel the fear just by looking at her and thinking about, maybe I'll approach her. So instead of analyzing it and rationalizing it and trying to find a way around it, like so many pickup artists are teaching, the better way is just to allow yourself to feel the fear and just keep saying yes to the fear. And as you're feeling the tension in the body, notice as the tension is decreasing little by little. First, maybe the tension is somewhere at the level of 7. Then it's somewhere at the level of 5. Then it goes somewhere at the level of 4. And then you can go closer and you can actually play with the idea, do I go to approach them or not? Do I go there? Maybe I go. So you go closer, and if it's too much, if it's 10 out of 10 and it's just extreme and the tension in your body is killing, then you just go by and you just sit somewhere, like just stand somewhere around and just allow yourself to feel the emotion and to allow your body to process it. This is not the typical dating advice because it doesn't seem that much action oriented. However, if you do this, you are actually targeting the root cause of what's preventing you from approaching those girls, which is this fear, this shame of being seen, this guilt of doing the wrong thing, which, by the way, is completely irrational, but it's irrelevant because it's emotions, right? Emotions are irrational. So this is releasing, allowing yourself to feel the emotion, welcoming it up and feeling it, and just allowing your body natural mechanisms to process it. Right? When you think about it, your body has a natural ability to heal everything. If you catch yourself with a knife accidentally and you're bleeding, you don't have to do anything to heal, right? You don't have to use your conscious mind to heal yourself. You just have to go on with your life and your body will heal itself on its own. In fact, if you think about people who go through car accidents or who go through some heavy injuries, they are healing better in coma. This is scientifically researched. Why? Because when they are in coma, their conscious mind doesn't interfere with if they're getting the right treatment, if they're being taken care of in the good hospital, if they're paying the bills, whatever. They just shut this conscious mind off and the unconscious takes on completely and the body just heals itself faster. So it's the same way with releasing. When you intervene with your mind by thinking and analyzing and trying to figure it out and trying to find a way around it, you're making the process slower. So by allowing yourself to feel the emotion and allowing it to come up, you're using your body's natural capacity to deal with these things and to let them go, and you have more freedom. So this is the 5th way. This is the emotional releasing technique. It's something I do with my clients, and the guys are getting amazing results in dating, in their sexual life, in confidence-related issues, with business. They're getting higher salaries, they're meeting more women, and simply they're living better lives because this thing is just amazing. I love it personally. It changed my life. And if you learn how to use it and if you learn to do it, it can change yours. So thank you for watching. If you have any questions or if you have any experience with this, drop them in the comment section. And in case you like what you heard, or you found yourself when I was talking about suppression, repression, and escape and all these other feelings, go to the buymatters.com/book now. book a session with me and we will talk about your specific problem. What is the root cause of your particular situation? Where you would love to be? What would be your ideal outcome? What is the ideal outcome for you where you are right now? And together we will craft a step-by-step game plan to help you go from where you are today to actually where you want to be. The session is free. So if you want to take your confidence, and you're a man, I work with men only. So if you're a man, you want to take your confidence to the next level, go to buymaros.com/book now and book a session with me today. So thank you guys, and I'm going to see you in the next video.